It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
She's
right. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
It's the Wretched Radio mail call delivery bag Q&A infotainment nationwide extravaganza featuring your voicemails, correspondences, communiques, dispatches, memorandums, and missives.
Any special message for all the kids watching at home?
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country.
You have 1,200 messages.
That is a bit above average.
Now here's your host, Todd Freakishly Tall Friel.
The mail is here!
This is Wretched Radio. Send your emails to idea@wretched.org, or whatever they happen to be. Questions, comments, conundrums, snarks. You see something wretched, send it to idea@wretched.org. Received an email from my buddy Ludi in Ireland pointing out Ellen DeGeneres was absolutely
Easy, deep breath.
right. I think her 3-minute stand-up on her program will explain the issue sufficiently, and then let us Christians take heed from this unbeliever who's absolutely right.
This weekend, I went to Dallas for the Cowboys game, and thanks. And it may not seem like a big deal for a celebrity to attend a football game, but I never leave my house, so it is a big deal. I go through the drive-thru at Wendy's, so I only have to see one person. I'm that kind of person. So there were 100,000 people in this stadium. Beautiful stadium, by the way, that Dallas has. So Portia and I were invited by Charlotte Jones. She's the daughter of Jerry Jones, who owns the Dallas Cowboys. And we went because we wanted to keep up with the Joneses.
Okay, that is a terribly lame joke that only Ellen DeGeneres can make funny. This is a perfect illustration of how charming she is and how she delivers material in such a way that just causes you to laugh and like her. She continues.
So anyway, we get to sit in this very fancy suite because, you know, he owns the whole place. So his suite is fancy, and he's got fancy friends. And I don't mean fancy like Real Housewife fancy. I mean like fancy. Look, I took a video of who was next to me.
She's showing all the votes, and sitting to her right is none other than former President George Bush.
This is
And George at the football game together.
So that was Portia, and that was Charlotte Jones. Portia was talking to, and George W. Bush, and then in front of us was the tallest man in the world. And, so I've got to say, when we were invited, I was aware that I was going to be surrounded with people from very different views and beliefs. And I'm not talking about politics. I was rooting for the Packers, and get this, everybody in the Cowboys suite was rooting for the Cowboys. And so I had to hide my cheese hat in Portia's purse. And don't get me wrong, I like the Cowboys. I love the Cowboys. I love all the Village people, as a matter of fact. But Aaron Rodgers is a friend of mine. He's the quarterback for the Packers, and so I'm sitting in the Cowboys suite, the owner of the Cowboys, and secretly cheering every time the Packers scored, or every time another whistleblower came forward. And the referees, you guys, the referees. But during the game, they showed a shot of George and me laughing together, and so people were upset. They thought, why is a gay Hollywood liberal sitting next to a conservative Republican president? Didn't even notice I'm holding the brand new iPhone 11. And, but a lot of people were mad, and they did what people do when they're mad. They tweet, and but here's one tweet that I loved. This person says, Ellen and George Bush together makes me have faith in America again. And exactly. Here's the thing. I'm friends with George Bush. In fact, I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs that I have. We're all different, and I think that we've forgotten that that's okay, that we're all different. For instance, I wish people wouldn't wear fur. I don't like it, but I'm friends with people who wear fur. And I'm friends with people who are furry, as a matter of fact. I have friends who should tweeze more. And I have... But just because I don't agree with someone on everything doesn't mean that I'm not going to be friends with them. When I say be kind to one another, I don't mean only the people that think the same way that you do. I mean be kind to everyone. Doesn't matter. people who are already playing Christmas music. I mean, seriously, there's no excuse for that, but I'm kind to them. Anyway, I want to thank Jerry Jones, Charlotte Jones for hosting us, and thanks President Bush and Laura for a Sunday afternoon that was so fun. By the way, you owe me $6 for the nachos.
Ellen DeGeneres, very nice lady, very funny lady. And a message, quite honestly, that I think we Christians should take to heed. In fact, that's a message that we should be demonstrating. We actually believe all the time. Ellen doesn't have a basis for her kindness. Without God, there is no reason to be nice to anybody. And that's just a spillover of a Christian worldview. If God doesn't exist, quite honestly, I should extend the evolutionary worldview, and dog eat dog, the survival of the fittest, would cause me to not be kind to those weak people, but to use them in any way that I choose to. Nevertheless, I am glad that Ellen's values are better than her belief system, and she's absolutely right. As we see in our culture today, the massive divide, typically it's done between red and blue. We as Christians know there's another divide. It's the obvious one, believers and unbelievers. But I would like us to consider the divide that happens amongst ourselves. The attitude that we have toward people who do not believe exactly the way that we do. Wow, can we ever get unkind to one another? Have you seen it out in the blogosphere? Have you experienced it yourself with somebody who discovers that maybe you don't hold to a particular belief, and look out? And what I've discovered is it tends to have less to do with actual theological issues per se than it does with social issues and how we view things through our Christian filter. The Bible is brilliant. The Bible does not give an answer to every single situation in life. No book could do that, frankly. The book would be bigger than the universe because of all the different situations, what everybody lives through, the questions that they have, what they're confronted with. Case in point, received an email from a young man who said, "Am I sinning because I'm attending a, quote, Christian school that's extraordinary liberal? They have a face of being conservative." Liberal schools tend to do that because it taps into those donors from decades past. But they're just screaming liberals on the campus. He said, "Am I violating 1 John 2, that I'm partnering with darkness, that I am giving some sort of tacit approval to bad theology that they're teaching in this school by giving them money to go to this school?" What's your answer to that? And I think the answer to that is it's up to each Christian to make that decision. This goes into that theological category of adiaphora. These are areas that are gray, that different Christians can come to different conclusions, and it's okay. We can live with that. It's okay because the Bible doesn't come down on that issue when it was written 2,000 years ago. Now, there's things that 1 John 2, for instance, would be a good start. Am I really partnering with them? What business does light have with darkness? I can consider 1 Corinthians 6, 2 Corinthians 6. I can think through some principles, implicit verses from the Bible to work through it, because the Bible does speak to everything, but not clearly and directly, and it has a category for us to disagree. Now, what would you do? What would you do? Here's what I see playing out. This young man, let's just say he decides to keep going there because it has a particular program where he wants to go, and it allows him to stay home to take care of his ailing mother. I'm making this up. And the price is right. It's in state, so there's some scholarship money, and it will allow him to get done in 3 years instead of 4. No dormitory costs, no exposure to life on campus, and, the college experience. And so he made the decision to stay. Here's what I see happening. What? You're going to that school? What is the matter with you? Those people are just rank liberals there. What do you got to get out of there, man? I can't believe it. And then you go to your text machine and you start telling everybody about the kid who's made the decision to, and we just get nasty over some of these things that aren't theological issues. where we see a difference of opinion on a political issue. It's okay. Look, we don't compromise. We don't compromise on the essential stuff, but consider what Paul said in 2 Timothy 2. Not quarrelsome, striving all the time with one another. No, essential theologies, we go to the mattresses. Secondary issues, we'll debate those things. But when it comes to a lot of these different social issues, just living issues, wow, it seems to me that we should be able to personify what Ellen DeGeneres did with George W. Bush. This is Wretched Radio.
Oh, I am so surprised that you are still here. Apparently, you've got a lot of free time. If you would like to get more Wretched, and who wouldn't, simply like this video, subscribe to this channel, and we will give you Wretched till it's coming out of your nose.